Good evening, I'm Rory Smith in the GB newsroom. Hugh Edwards has been named as the BBC presenter at the centre of the broadcaster's controversy. In a statement, his wife Vicky Flynn says, Hugh is suffering from serious mental health issues. As is well documented, he has been treated for severe depression in recent years. The events of the last few days have greatly worsened matters. He has suffered another serious episode and is now receiving inpatient hospital care where he'll stay for the foreseeable future. She continues, in the circumstances and given Hugh's condition, I would like to ask that the privacy of my family and everyone else caught up in these upsetting events is respected. I know that Hugh is deeply sorry that so many colleagues have been impacted by the recent media speculation. We hope this statement will bring that to an end. Well, it comes after the Metropolitan Police confirmed that no criminal offence has been committed by Mr Edwards in relation to the claims. The force says they have completed their assessment and are taking no further action. The Met has advised the BBC it can continue with its own internal investigation. Well, BBC Director General Tim Davie has told staff in a message that it's been a challenging few days. The BBC released a statement reading, "We have seen the statement from the police confirming they have completed their assessment and are not taking further action. We're grateful to them for completing this work at speed." It continues, "The police had previously asked us to pause our fact-finding investigations and we will now move forward with that work, ensuring due process and a thorough assessment of the facts whilst continuing to be mindful of our duty of care to all involved." Well, let's bring you up to date with some of the other stories making the headlines tonight. The first asylum seekers have arrived at a former RAF airbase in Essex. 46 people are now at Wethersfield, with more individuals to arrive in the coming weeks. The site, which can house up to 1,700 single adult men, is expected to be fully operational by autumn. Boris Johnson's COVID WhatsApp messages have still not been provided to the COVID-19 inquiry. Downing Street says all necessary material was handed in before the 4 p.m. deadline on Monday. But GB News understands the former Prime Minister's old phone, which contains messages relating to the ordering of 3 lockdowns, is still in his possession. TV, online, DAB+ radio and on TuneIn. This is GB News. Now though, time for headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. I'm your host, Josh Howie, and joining me to make sense of Thursday's newspapers are 2 silver-haired comedy icons, Lewis Schaefer and Bruce Devlin. How are you both?
I'm silver-haired.
And my beard's going grey again because I've not dyed it for a few weeks.
But you know what? If you do dye it, someone's going to notice. You can't dye it, so...
Damned either way.
Do you dye it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. And dye my hair. No.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Lewis here, but...
Well, I used to colour my hair jet black, and it's amazing how quickly your hair can turn grey when you stop colouring it.
Yes, and your wife left you, I remember that. It went sort of white overnight, didn't it?
Wow. Delayed already.
We went straight to the source there. Sorry about that. Bruce, have you broken up with anybody recently?
You?
OK! This is going to be a lovely, tense show. We had a big argument about selfies before the show. We're going to let go of that now. We're going to move on. Right, let's go to the front pages. We have the Daily Mail. My husband has serious mental issues. That's not from my wife. Telegraph, Hugh Edwards named by wife as presenter suspended by the BBC. Guardian, Hugh Edwards named as the BBC presenter at the centre of the allegations. The Times, I'm sensing some sort of theme here. Wife reveals Hugh Edwards is BBC star in Eye of Storm. Financial Times, big drop in US inflation raises. Hope that fever is breaking after rate rises. And the Daily Star, it's Hugh. And those were your front pages. Right, surprise us, Lewis. What's on the cover of the Daily Mail?
Well, I don't even want to say the guy's name. I feel sorry for this guy, and because he's a beloved figure in this
like
country.
you, and you've done far worse.
You know what? Let's keep it down. Okay. But I mean, it's like what happened. I don't want to say, but the tragedy here is that it's I mean, the way I see it is. I mean, you could call this guy a bad guy. The police aren't pressing any charges. It says my husband has serious mental health issues. And basically, Hugh Edwards has installed himself in a mental hospital. And that's a trope, basically. I guess it's the Kevin Spacey trope.
Oh, he's gone to the no internet access allowed.
Yeah, where he says, you know what, something is really bad. I am the victim, basically. I'm the one in the hospital.
Well, it has been a massive switch, hasn't it, Bruce? Because it seemed like the last couple of days has been like baying for blood, and now almost overnight, suddenly it's like, oh, mental health problems. Oh, we're so sorry, and I hope he's okay. And
But I suppose the thing is that is his mental health condition currently exacerbated by the fact he's been found out? Because did he suffer from mental health conditions when he was participating in whatever has been alleged? Because obviously there is no crime to answer, apparently. And there's various things going around the net about photos, and we don't necessarily know who these photos are. So my point would be that, yeah, he probably is in a really bad state, and I hope he gets the help that he needs. But is that by virtue of the fact he has now been exposed for whatever he obviously has regret or, dare I say, shame over?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you know the answer to that question is like he's lost everything. He's not going to get a job on the BBC.
well, no, you say that he's lost everything, but his wife, it seems like, is standing with him. And
yeah,
he's still got his family. He's got a pension, and also there's no guarantee he's going to be off our screens necessarily.
No,
he was suspended, but I'm sure.
Also, I do think it's incredibly, I don't know if courageous is the right word, but I think because of the speculation, I really do have a great amount of respect for the wife. We can't live like this. This just needs to, we know what's happening. They kind of know what's happening, so why don't we take some kind of ownership?
I don't know if I'd have respect. I mean, you could argue that there are PRs at play here. I mean, it was literally minutes after the police said that there wasn't going to be an investigation that she came out. So it seems like this is somewhat coordinated. And, of course, it seems like most people knew who it was anyway. So I don't know if I could go with... I mean, look, I hope they have a healthy marriage. I hope that I never like any marriages being... I mean, I was very saddened with what happened to the person on my left here. But it obviously it's hard. And, I mean, do you think people have massively overreacted? It seems... This is my hot take on this whole thing, is that it's this kind of prism through which you could see whatever you want to see. If you want to bash the BBC, you can do that. If you want to bash the right-wing tabloids, you can do that. And it seems like in the middle is just a guy paying young people for naked photos.
Well, you said it, basically. This is my guess, and I've only lived here for 23 years, but he's not coming back on the BBC. The BBC is under a lot of pressure because people are realizing what the BBC is, which is it isn't a media company, it is the state propaganda service. And the state propaganda service has to be cleaner than clean, appear to be, in order for it to keep on getting license fee money. So he's not coming back. Number two is that she's keeping up a brave face. No woman likes to hear this. Women don't like that their men cheat on them. They don't like that their men cheat on them with somebody who's like 30, 40 years younger than them. And they don't like that they're spending £35,000 on somebody else. Women hate that.
It's almost like that conversation we had 10, 15 years ago when you met up with me in the cafe and we sort of were talking about, you were like, Josh, women don't like... How's your marriage? Josh, let me tell you something. Women don't like you spending £35,000 on naked photos.
But this is what I don't understand, why he was spending £35,000 on photos when you could have photos from the internet for nothing, if you see what I mean. And then there would
I have no idea what you're talking
have
about.
necessarily been anything to answer.
I've been told this,
By
that
who?
you don't pay 30. By my present, current, possibly future ex-girlfriend, is that nobody pays 30. That doesn't mean I'm not available for the women out there.
Oh my God! That's not going to do.
Is that nobody pays £35,000 for the pictures? They pay £35,000 to shut the guy up.
OK, thank you.
Does that
Right.
make...
That's
right?
one take on it, yes.
That's one take.
That's one possibility.
OK, fine.
Well, no one said that before.
I don't know. I've sent the photos just for the 35 grand. They didn't need to shut me up about it. Right, Bruce, what are the Telegraph going with then?
So the Telegraph are going, we are always grateful, says Zelensky, after Ben Wallace had made a jibe at them about being like Amazon. And I think it was Mr. Wallace basically saying that Zelensky should be much more grateful for the support, for the fact that they're trying to fast-track them through NATO and all this kind of thing. So, yeah, that's what
I mean, you can understand, Lewis, the frustration of, you know, it's a country fighting for their existence. It seems like he rocked up there and they just like, here's a list of stuff we want from you. And I mean, there could be a cultural thing, maybe it's, you know, being a little bit more tactful. But arguably, they have also shown a lot of gratitude. They named a road after Boris Johnson. No one else is doing that.
It's the road out of town.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of those things. I think what the British government and I think the world is trying to pass the Ukraine off as a charity, that we're doing a good thing out of our own hearts.
Yeah.
When the truth is, there are so many reasons why America and Britain got involved in this thing. Number one, we're testing out our war machinery against Russia. We're getting real life experience because we're going to need it against the Chinese, and we've undercut Russia tremendously. We've basically destroyed them, and that's what Americans. I don't know whether the British. I don't think the British are as obsessed with destroying Russia as Americans are. My entire life was, you know, we're afraid of the Russians, okay? And we're using up old weapons.
Yeah, and those weapons will be remade and restocked, and the money will be paid to American companies and British companies.
To the arms dealers. So this is all in. And finally, remember, I don't know exactly the details because it's been kept from us, but Joe Biden is heavily involved in Hunter Biden, his son, in bribery, and this is just alleged. Maybe it's real, probably is real, in bribery in Ukraine.
Do you think that they're paying money for photographs?
You know what? It wouldn't put it past me. This guy Zelensky, there's an old saying, when a comedian is bored of comedy, they go into politics.
Okay.
Well, that is, do you know, that's profound, and I'm going to quote you on that.
And just give me credit because
I
made
will.
it up.
That's why I said quote.
I'll take the other side. The other side is when a politician is bored of politics, he goes into comedy. and
Boris Johnson is just going to fluctuate back and forth over the next 20 years. Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, then, let's go on to The Guardian, Lewis.
Well, The Guardian has the Hugh Edwards story, of course, and it has the Zelensky story, which shows him wearing fatigues that he's just come from the front, and his wife is dressed like $1 million, and she's quite beautiful. And but the big news is that Sunak won't meet NHS waiting times pledge if strikes continues, warns the health bosses, because the junior doctors have threatened to keep up industrial action until spring unless they receive a credible pay offer, and they deserve more money. But then again, single-handedly, they were probably the #1 people in charge of the COVID chaos that was caused. No, that they caused it.
As opposed to a virus that came over from China.
Yes, because the virus has proved to be, because like in Sweden, they didn't do the same thing.
Let me just say, for Ofcom reasons, that the junior doctors did not cause COVID.
But I'm going to say this again. The junior doctors caused the COVID panic.
By the way, just the way you say, stop saying junior so slow, because someone's going to cut it. It's going to be like the Jew. Anyway, Bruce, they want 26%, right?
Right.
How realistic is that? I mean, the government's offering 5%.
If they want 26%, you know what they should become? Vets, because vets will fleece you. If you want to go into medicine, go into animal medicine. That's where you'll make your money. My point, I get it, and I understand how important it is in which to have health professionals and a health service. And I understand that people need a pay rise in line with inflation and everything else that's going on. But these people are coming into this job knowing what it pays. So if that isn't necessarily, I don't know if I'm saying the right thing or not, but if that's not good enough for you, then why are you going in it and getting involved in this?
There is truth to that, and they will be paid more later on. But arguably, if it's 7 years, 5, inflation going up.
It's 7 for a doctor, isn't it?
But if inflation has gone up that much in the meantime, and that's why they're wanting 26%, because inflation keeps on going up. over the last sort of 10, 15 years, which means that in real terms, they're earning this 26% less. So that would be the argument for it. The other thing we have to look at here is, of course, the NHS was one of Rishi Sunak's 5 pledges. I mean, at this point, is he going to meet any of the pledges that he
Well,
said?
why should he meet the pledges? Because
he wants to get back into
the
power?
NHS, they've been taking more and more money for the NHS, and people are getting more and more unhealthy. And so I think maybe they should take some responsibility. They're the doctors. Dr. Healed. Oh, my God.
All right, thank you, Dr.
I love
Schaefer.
my doctors.
Yeah,
I love my
he
doctors.
loves his
I've got
doctors.
some fantastic
Lewis himself
cardiologists.
accounts for literally half the NHS
How many
budget.
doctors do you have?
I've got a lot of doctors.
Yeah.
Because
You think you look that good without a lot of doctors?
Because they couldn't believe that because I'm on an all-meat diet, 100% meat diet.
Right, we're going to move on now. Finally, we've got the Times. What are they going with, Bruce?
They're going with quite a lot of stuff, but the thing we're discussing is that Europe hopes to weather heat edging towards 50 degrees Celsius. Millions of Britons will fly, because I've got friends that are going, I think, to Milan this week, and apparently temperatures are going to hit
My
50.
wife just went to Mallorca today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she
Is
left me.
Is she bringing you back any Larios gin?
£35,000 well spent.
Don't joke about it. There could be something.
Don't joke. No, I'm too cheap to pay £35,000. I ain't going to get in trouble for any
He
of that.
has 35,000. That's what he's selling
true,
everybody.
true. Sorry, mate. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that it's going to get really, really hot
really
very,
hot,
very
but
soon.
not here. Will it get
Not here, it's going to be in Europe.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get on a plane, which apparently is contributing to the rise in temperature, to enjoy the hot temperature.
But at least they're setting in some laws, I believe, to protect donkeys, Lewis.
Yeah, and they're trying to do things, so make donkeys not work as hard. But at the end of the day, at least they haven't mentioned climate change for causing this, because I mean.
OK, we're going to a break now. That's all for part 1. But coming up, we have Elon Musk's electric visions. We have Nicola Sturgeon's bad decisions. And the question, is there life on Mars? Yes, apparently. Catch you in a minute. Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Josh Howie, and with me are my comedian panel comprised of Little Louis Schaefer and Brucey Boy Devlin. We are going to kick off with a story from Thursday's Telegraph about the blob. Is that time of the month, Lewis?
Yes, well...
You know what?
That's what I thought it was.
That's what you thought?
But it's not.
It's not that.
No,
Is that
I had to
Scottish?
go and speak to Morag, the producer, and say, am I right in thinking that this is a euphemism?
That's what I thought back in the day. It's a disgusting word.
Oh,
It was written in my autocue to sabotage me, and now I'm going to get lots of...
I haven't heard about this, but it says cowardly, it's in the Telegraph, cowardly to call civil service the blob, says UK's most blobby civil servant, I guess, Simon Case. And I didn't know this. I didn't know what it was. Is that the right calls people who work in the government ministry, civil service, as the blob. And Jacob Rees-Mogg said the blog has triumphed after a bonfire of Brexit laws was scaled back. And Boris and other people, Boris Johnson, Sir Jake Berry, a former Conservative chairman, was blamed the blob for triggering Boris Johnson's political downfall. At the end of the day, the political system here is so weird.
Yeah, because you're American.
Because I'm American. I don't understand that. In America, there is a civil service there, but they should be under the control of the president. And here, you get the feeling is that maybe that's the way democracy works here, is you have a very changeable government. The leader, prime minister, can change, and they can change on a dime the entire rules, but the civil service acts as a brake if they want to.
Well, yes, which is also sort of what the Lords is meant to do. But, Bruce, I mean, you grew up with the Yes Minister, and hopefully you understand a bit more. Now, you are not on this channel as regularly as some, otherwise you'd be hearing the blob pretty much every episode, because they're sort of, it's part of this, certain people sort of use it as a constant word, as the go-to for why we can't send people to Rwanda or whatever. Everything's blamed on the blob. Does that make sense now?
It does make sense in as much as there is a homogenised group of faceless people that are just one mass making these decisions. Is that correct?
Resisting the will of the rightfully elected government is the idea of it, and they're the civil servants or whatever. And this is Simon Case is basically saying that this is deeply unfair and upsetting for him. That seems to be the gist of the story.
Well, there you go.
Well,
He's upset.
the way you say it, and I think you've made a very good point. It's a very convenient thing to blame.
Yeah.
The ministers on this thing. But I've seen Yes Minister, and I can understand it totally.
Yeah.
That the ministers control the world. The parliamentarians, the same thing is happening in my local council. Is you get a feeling that the councillors are here and there, and they're going to be gone soon. But the people who work there are forever.
There we go. The Metro, Bruce, and good news for renters.
Well, is it good news for renters? So this says nearly 100,000 people could see mortgage repayments soar by £500 in 3 years. So I presume this is people coming off fixed-rate deals and all that kind of stuff, right? So nearly 1 million mortgage holders could see their monthly repayments increase by 500 quid.
Yeah.
500 quid over the next 3 years.
£6 grand a year.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of money. The other thing is, because a lot of people, we were discussing this before the show, a lot of people, I think, in order to deal with the cost of living crisis, will be contemplating remortgaging and all that kind of stuff. And if you are going to remortgage, then you could see your payments go up about £220. So it just seems to be not a great thing if you're paying a mortgage.
No, I mean, we knew this was coming, but this sort of seems to be about Andrew Bailey, who is the boss of the Bank of England, and it seems like what he's saying is that the banks are okay, everybody. Like, that seems to be the gist of it. So his argument is that, like, as opposed to 2008 when we last saw these kind of rates, is at that time the banks were deeply in trouble.
Yes.
But whereas now they can absorb some of the pain for the consumer. I think that's what he seems to be saying. Is that right, Lewis?
I think it is, but at the end, during that time, they had the exact same problem that they had now, which is they initiated quantitative easing, if you remember correctly, which is basically printing money. And during the COVID panic, they also printed money, and which caused the inflation, which is basically killing people. It's making people lose their homes. They're saying in 2 or 3 years there's going to be a problem. There's a problem right now. People who have interest-only variable rate mortgages. I'm not going to say who has one. Louis Schaefer.
You've got a mortgage?
I do. I have a mortgage.
He's got good credit.
I know, it's hard to believe.
Wow.
I'm not going to say how that happened, but I want to thank my father, Mr. Murray Schaefer, for being very, very good to me. What, should I reveal so much personal information?
No. Well, now someone could like have your bank number, and if they call and say, "What's your father's name?" It's Murray. I mean, all these details are, and also all your stalkers.
It's all going to come out.
Of course, the difference is now as well is we don't have the option to print money like we did in 2008.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is your banking password calendar?
Well, speaking of
Please don't do it. Sticking with the Metro, and Lewis, alien life has been discovered. I imagine for you this is the greatest non-story ever.
Well, you hit the nerve. It is the non-story. So this NASA Perseverance rover, that's called Perseverance. That sounds like something out of the 1800s. The name of your ship, the Perseverance rover, finds possible signs of alien life on Mars. And they said that they went into a site of an ancient lake basin and that they found organic carbon, possibly from bugs that once roamed Mars.
I know.
Right, bugs. The truth is, it's completely, absolutely rubbish. These NASA scientists are some of the least competent people in the world, all right? Honest to God, because organic material is everywhere.
Just ready to hear this.
Yes, be prepared for this. Is everywhere in the universe. That the moon of Saturn, called Titan, and you can look this up, has 100 times as much organic, has hydrocarbons as there are on Earth.
But this isn't just carbons, this is other organic materials.
Yes, or hydrocarbons.
No, not carbons, just...
No, the only organic material is carbon. That's what it is. Organic chemistry is carbon-based chemistry. Okay. And so this comes from... So this is totally...
Okay.
You know what? You can Google me.
Well, whatever. Bruce, you've got many scientific degrees and you used to work at NASA.
Well, actually, I don't. I was so unintelligent at school that my mathematical ability was so poor and I wasn't allowed to do computing science, and I was in a foundation thing for maths.
Okay.
And because of that, I wasn't allowed to do a specific science. I had to do general science. So I just used to lick a Bunsen burner.
So you're telling me we're actually having to go with Lewis's opinion
I
on
believe
this?
everything that she
my God.
said.
I do like...
we can look it up. We can look it up because you know how it got on Mars. How that organic material got on Mars.
COVID?
No, is what happened when
Bowie?
Saturn exploded, and out of Saturn, the theory is that Venus erupted as a comet out.
So that's like that film with Sigourney Weaver.
And it hit. I didn't see that film. And it hit Mars and left a huge scar on Mars called the Valles
You can have your
Marineris.
opinions. I'm going to go with the very last line of this article, possibly from bugs that once roamed Mars. My favourite end of an article ever.
Velikovsky.
Okay.
Velikovsky.
And Mars is flat. Daily Mail next. And Bruce, we got you on the show without it costing the taxpayers anything.
That's true, actually. You did. So this is to do with Nicola Sturgeon, the former First Minister...
former Queen.
The former First Minister of Scotland. It was her farewell appearance on Loose Women, which cost taxpayers, allegedly, £1,200 for business class flights. Now, I fly from Scotland to England quite a lot.
Humble brag.
Nicola shouldn't be doing that because she declared a climate emergency. Planes aren't a friend of the environment. I was just thinking when I read this, if the camper van is theirs, would it not have been more cost-effective and more environmentally friendly and more comfortable to travel in the camper van? However, she also had a £515 stay in a London hotel.
Yes.
The one thing that she did do in her favour was she wore the same jacket as she did when she resigned from her job. So she is probably offsetting her carbon footprint by wearing the same clothes over and over again as opposed to buying new stuff. Yeah. So a lot of people are rightfully quite annoyed at this.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis, what do you think? Massive hypocrite? Politician? Shock horror?
And which hotel is 500?
Well, it won't say.
No, there are lots of hotels
Holiday
that are
Inn,
500.
I think.
Hotels in London are quite expensive, but not 500. There are lots of them. Did she wear, Bruce, did she wear that frock again?
It was a jacket.
A jacket. Did she wear it again to let people know that she's now saving money because she's about to be fired because she quit her job?
No. I think the reason that she's probably wearing the same clothes over and over again because it's a thing called recycling and that's offsetting her carbon footprint.
Yeah, I know, Lewis, you always wear a different outfit every show and whatnot.
And people have gotten really... Christina and Maria really like my tie.
Okay, well done.
Nice.
Did you get sent that for free, did you?
Nice.
Okay, wonderful. Finally, for this section, exciting news in The Guardian that we're going to get a new thing in this country called electricity.
Ooh.
Tell us a bit about this Musk fella, Lewis.
This is Elon Musk, who is a personal hero of mine. And the guy lost $44 billion on Twitter, and you got to give him credit for losing.
I think it was only 2/3 of the 44 billion.
I think he's going to lose it all because
Threads.
What's his name is going to put him out of business. But Elon Musk plans to launch electricity supply in Britain, and this is actually quite interesting because Tesla Electric, which is, I guess, a company which supplies a lot of electrical stuff for people's houses, for them to charge up the cars and for them to collect solar stuff from the cars, is going to be in a position, hopefully, this is, I think, in the future, hopefully, to take the electricity which is stored in these batteries, which is collected when rates are cheap, and ship it out during the daytime. And so it's actually kind of a brilliant idea. They've been talking about this with computers. I think they do this with computers. You can actually rent your computer to have the processing power when you're not using it. And I think this is what this is.
Yes, well, Lewis, that was a beautifully explained explanation there. I mean,
Was I right?
No, you were absolutely right. I mean, this is quite interesting. I believe this already exists in America, Bruce, but I mean, this is quite exciting, isn't it?
Well, I misunderstood it because when I grew up in Dundee, there were people on an estate called Mid Craigie that used to steal each other's electricity. I don't know how they were able to, but they were able to power their houses from someone else's, so that's what I thought it was. But then, with the electricity stored in the batteries, go with me, there is a point. How are they getting it then to the new purchaser?
Because I believe it's like, you can go two ways.
You can go two ways. It's called a wire.
That's a bit like monkeys, apparently. They go two ways.
Charge it up at night for like 1p an hour, and then during the day, if you're parked there, it can be taken back out of the battery for less than actually even pay the person who owns the battery, the car, essentially, some of the money, which is sort of what they do already with people who have solar panels on their roof and whatnot, is that some of the electricity companies actually pay them for electricity if they have any storage. So anyway, sounds like a good deal. That's it for part 2. Coming up, we have the UN on religious hatred, the Manson family reunion, and another reason to hate hedge funds. See you after the break, people.
That warm feeling inside. From Boxed Boilers, proud sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Greg Dewhurst and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. Stays unsettled over the next few days. We'll have showers on Thursday and then rain spreading in for Friday and turning quite wet and windy as we move into the weekend. Last area of low pressure that we've had the last few days pulls away, and then this area of low pressure moves in to end the week and into the weekend, bringing unsettled conditions for all of us. There's still some showers around to end Wednesday, largely across the north and the west. Overnight, the clearest spells across eastern and southeastern parts of England. Elsewhere, still a mixture of showers, and temperatures generally holding up in double figures tonight, generally 11 to 14 Celsius. So it means a mixed start to Thursday morning. There'll be some sunny spells from the word go, but also a scattering of showers. Thursday, as we go through the day, there'll be lots of sunshine in places, particularly across eastern areas. The cloud will bubble up. We could see some showers, but showers should be fewer and farther between compared to recent days. We could still see a few heavy ones, particularly across Scotland, but lots of places staying dry. And it will just feel a little warmer than recent days as a result. Generally high teens to low 20s. Highs around 24 degrees towards the southeast. Into Friday, it all starts to turn more unsettled. Areas of low pressure begin to move in, so we see cloud and rain sweeping in from the southwest, pushing northeastwards. This turning heavy at times, best of the dry weather holding on for longest across Scotland. Temperatures near average.
That warm feeling inside. From Boxed Boilers, proud sponsors of weather on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners and straight into Thursday's Guardian for a story about burning Qurans. You're quite pro this, aren't you, Bruce?
No, I'm not at all.
Oh.
I'd just like to point that out. Thank you very much.
Because in the interval you were just saying how you do it all the time.
No, that's something you've just made up just now. Those are your improv skills. I don't believe in burning any religious texts.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This
I'd
is the
burn
kind of-
Hello magazine.
Yeah. This is going to get us all killed, Josh.
OK, let's go with the story then.
So the UN Rights Council approved resolution on religious hatred after Quran burning. Now this, Western countries had strongly opposed resolution, arguing it conflicted with laws on free speech. So last month in Sweden, I believe, an Iraqi-born protester caused outrage across the Muslim world after tearing pictures from the Quran, wiping his shoes with them, some of them, and burning others outside a mosque in Stockholm during the Eid holiday.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
No, I don't think it is good at all.
That's not good. The question is, of course, whether it's a human right and whose right here is going to dominate. Now, Lewis, this is somewhat ironic coming from the UN Human Rights Council because, of course, some of the members on the Human Rights Council are Pakistan, Qatar, China, not exactly known for
Human rights.
Human rights.
Well, I don't know if this is actually a human right issue. I think this is just a... You want to say... And I think people should be allowed to do what they want to do, but I think this is wrong. And I think, you just be... It's provocative. It's not exactly a free speach issue.
Well, it arguably is. I mean, we're not talking about ethnicity here. Or race, or what, this is an ideology, but I wouldn't want anyone to burn a Torah. I'm sure Christians wouldn't want anybody to burn a Bible.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
a religious text.
But to them, it is like an ethnicity. Their book and what their belief system is very strong. And just as
but that doesn't make it an ethnicity.
It doesn't make an ethnicity. It makes it as strong as if you're attacking someone's ethnicity. And I mean, it's ironic because the UN Rights Council, they approved this resolution saying they want to address, prevent, and prosecute acts that advocate an advocacy of religious hatred, such as that. But in these countries, I don't want to mention all the other countries, some of them you mentioned, it's quite, the Shias are attacking the Sunnis, everybody's attacking the Christians, they're doing horrible things to the Armenians, whatever. So it's if you're going to have a UN resolution, it's got to go both ways.
No, absolutely. And we're going to move on now, but well done. I think we're right. We're not going to get killed or anything. We're okay?
You know what? We pulled our way out of it after what you said, Josh. You're supposed to be the voice of reason.
Yeah. Time's next. And Lewis, she's already got a thing for charismatic psychos. Has the next Mrs. Schaefer just got out of jail?
Well, you know what the irony of it is? She's 73. Manson cult murderer.
Too young for you.
Leslie Van Houten released... you know what? You like them old. The skin is so soft. And you know what? They can't take your kids away from you. And anyway...
Can't get pregnant.
Yeah, they're good. The older ones are good. Have so much in common. I was in love with my grandmother. And so basically, this Manson cult murderer, Leslie Van Houten, released after 53 years. She's been in jail since she was 19. She was involved in killing people in L.A. back in the time when L.A. was a relatively safe place. Now it's not that safe. But she was involved in killing of Sharon Tate, who was...
No, I don't think she was involved in the killing of that. She did the murder the day after.
The day after.
She's one of the man... Yeah. So, I mean... It's weird because I watched that film Once Upon a Time in America, the Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
I didn't really know all the details about it, but I think in America, certainly, the Manson murders have a much larger cultural impact, right?
I think it's amazing. Yes, the Manson murderers were quite the thing at the time, and because he was so insane, became insaner and insaner, is that they kept a hold on people. I mean, it would be the equivalent of Rose West. And
well, let's move on now. Actually, Bruce, she's been in prison, 53 years? Do you think redemption's possible?
I'm not sure about redemption because I kind of don't think that people change. Maybe they do. But the thing that interested me the most about this, she had various aliases and called herself Lulu.
Yeah,
okay.
She knew.
You know, like the singer.
Oh, I thought maybe like me.
That's the thing that... No, what do you mean, Lulu the Perfume by Cash
I mean, Lulu like Louis Schaefer.
Louis.
Oh, I didn't know you were called Lulu.
That's what we call him, Offset.
Oh, that's nice.
Lulu, dinner's ready, Lulu.
Hiya.
OK, moving on to Thursday's Telegraph, where financial wars meet culture wars, Bruce.
Yes, so this is all very kind of Colby Co and Denver Carrington, as my understanding is.
Good references.
Yeah, OK. So boards with women and minorities apparently get more attacks from hedge funds. So hedge funds are the businesses that go around kind of circumventing other businesses that may look vulnerable, swoop in...
Wall Street style.
That kind of thing, and then crush them. And it's like that guy from Pretty Woman that, you know, he takes over businesses and takes them apart. That's my understanding of it.
That's exact. All of my financial knowledge did come from Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
Including how much to charge.
Well, exactly.
So, I mean, this is actually a very interesting story, Lewis, because it sounds like it's a racist thing, like they're looking for companies to attack because of their diversity, but it actually seems like this report is saying that because these companies are diverse, they're slower to respond to challenge. So that is why that they're actually... So it's not that necessarily people are going, oh, look, there's more women on this board or whatever, it's but because of the coherence of the board itself.
I blame the women.
OK, great. And you know what? We don't actually need to use you in any more GBNews things. We'll just play that clip over and over for every single story.
I blame the women.
But, I mean, I guess what it's saying is if the board was all women, then there wouldn't be a problem. Is that right, Bruce? That seems to be the gist of it. If it was all black people or all something, it seems to be the diversity is what they're suggesting is the problem.
Yeah, I took from that they found them then to be... because they could swoop in and do whatever, that I don't know, that they didn't think they were in such a strong position or something like that, that they perhaps assumed a more vulnerable position to the people that are coming in.
Yeah, I think it's just because they're slower to make decisions when it's a disparate group of people is what...
You know what? But that's a moot point, because there are no boards that are 100% women, probably. There are very few boards, so it's impossible to study them. So you don't know whether it's because of the diversity, because there are no boards which are not diverse.
This report is about a study that did manage to study that.
Except not diverse, all women.
OK. You know what? Let's move on to The Guardian now with quite a serious story. Do not mess it up, please, Lewis.
Well, test to assess... I blame the women. Test to assess newborns' health not effective for babies in the UK, according to The Guardian. Yeah. And BAME stands for Black, Asian, and Minority Ethnic. But I thought we weren't using that term.
No, I know. I thought they don't like... people don't like that term.
They don't like that term. But
everybody being pushed in together type thing.
Yeah, but what they have found out, that the test that they use, right, which is called the APGAR test, which measures basically the color of a baby to see how healthy they are. They said that that's not applicable for black people, black babies, which is true. And this was, so they're saying that for jaundice, it's easier to tell jaundice in a white baby than it is in a black baby. It's easy to tell there's something called cyanosis.
Yeah, inefficient oxygen to the blood.
In a white baby than a black baby.
Well,
but here's the point. The point is that these were developed in 1952.
Wow.
And have not been changed. And if that doesn't tell you about the medical system in this country, I don't know what to... Well, they haven't changed.
I mean, that was your 1952. That was your first marriage, second marriage?
No.
What do you think of this, Bruce? It's quite interesting, but do you think it's racism? Because there is a doctor who later on says this is racism, or is this just arguably ignorance? I mean, you can be ignorant and racist, I guess, at the same time, but it's not coming from a malicious place necessarily, but it does need to be sorted out, surely.
Yeah, no, I think so. But the fact of the matter is, with jaundice, surely, you know, regardless of your skin tone or skin colour, you can see if something is up. So I don't understand why they're saying, you know, I mean, that they are unable to, you know, find jaundice.
I think it's just, I mean, certainly with Caucasian babies, it's because the skin goes much yellower, so I guess it's easier to spot. And they're saying that they should use different tools because there is a discrepancy between the health of black and Asian newborns and Caucasian newborns. So look, there obviously is a problem here. It seems like they're on their way to hopefully solving it.
They need to address it, and it's being done.
I don't think that it's... you know, you don't want to say that's not racism. It could be racism. But I think it's more like, having known what they do in the medical society, they're still working on on high cholesterol is bad for you. They're still giving out statins. They're still, you know... In their world, it's 1952 in so many different
71 years ago, time to move on. Finishing the section with Telegraph's mental story from Italy, Bruce.
I have this as the Hungarian bookseller that wraps LGBTQ.
We switched it around.
Oh, have we? Well, I
Switched
didn't
it.
get that,
Well, you know what?
unfortunately. Do you know
Lewis,
what?
come on.
Which one
This is the
it?
one about the horrible story in Italy. It's on the screen. Cleaner escapes prosecution for groping schoolgirl because it lasted 10 seconds. So this is the next story.
This is the next
I think you're
story.
both deliberately losing the story because you don't want to cover.
Oh, there it
the
is. So we're
story.
skipping number 14.
No, we're going to come back to it later.
All
Let's
right.
not go into the dynamics of this show.
I was not told of the change.
Okay.
I would just like that.
I'm with Bruce. So
Thank you. And we really are, so that's
yeah,
good.
so that's two of us. We back each other up. I'm lying for Bruce, too. Cleaner escapes prosecution for groping schoolgirl because it only lasted 10 seconds. There's no joy in this story because something bad happened to a schoolgirl by a guy who was the cleaner or the custodian.
The 66-year-old janitor and the 17-year-old girl. And
Yeah. And it's not good, but like they had maybe some male judges who were sympathetic to the guy, and maybe they should have been. It sounds like they should have been tougher on the guy.
Well,
But
yeah,
they're
I mean,
not.
just letting him off because it was only 10. It's ridiculous, right, Bruce?
It is ridiculous. What are we
I
going
think
to do?
any
about it?
level of assault, which I think that quantifies as, I don't think you can say, oh, I only fondled them or her for like 3 seconds, so it doesn't really count. What is that? The 5 second, the 4 or the 3 second rule? It's ridiculous, and it's kind of disgusting and a bit creepy.
Well, it is. The only good part of this story, I think, is that a lot of people in Italy are absolutely outraged by it.
And should be.
And they should be, and hopefully move to some sort of cultural change. That's all for part 3, but coming up in the final section, we have AI news writers, disgruntled gorillas, and a Hungarian bookseller. Sounds like a weird fairy tale. Stick around, folks. Welcome back to the final part of Headliners. The verdict is in. Lewis's girlfriend says that I am being funnier than usual. People online say stop picking on Lewis, Josh. Right, let's get to it, Lewis, with the Guardian story about bondage books.
Can you just stop mentioning that woman? I got fans out there.
Okay.
And they're going to think that I'm not available. Anyway, so Hungarian bookseller, this is in The Guardian, wraps LGBTQ books in plastics to stop people from reading them.
Forgot the plus.
Plus, okay, that means everybody else. Plus, and this company called Libri bows to pressure to comply with child protection laws. This is in Hungary, and it all comes down to because the people who bought out the bookshops was taken over by a private foundation with close ties to this guy, Viktor Orban,
who's the Prime Minister.
Who's the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
So this isn't for everywhere. This is just in Hungary.
Although it has moved into other towns as well, I understand, Bruce.
And it's probably other towns, and it's probably and probably other countries too. It just happens to be this is the most conservative country.
But what I don't understand about it is, right, the book chain is the first in Hungary to use transparent packaging, right?
It's easier to clean.
The equivalent of a book being in a condom, shall we say. But the fact of the matter is, because this is all to do with some stupid child protection law, which I think is
Arguably
just
homophobic.
grossly insulting.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if you're in a bookshop with your children... Do you have children?
Yes.
Right, OK, that's enough. But
They can't read, they're in their 20s.
Oh, right, OK, that's fine then. But you wouldn't have allowed them. But you wouldn't have allowed them to look at anything that I presume is top shelf and all this kind of stuff. But then it was recently, it wasn't that long ago that I think Sainsbury's wouldn't stock Attitude magazine. So, we haven't moved away from, what this is essentially about, which... for me, is very insulting.
Also, they got law that there's no gay people on children's television, so I don't know where they're going to get their children's presenters from. Exactly. Thursday's Telegraph now. And did you give your teenager a phone, Lewis?
I gave my teenager a phone, but this was before the phones actually did all those things.
Oh, so he could just play
Snake. It was just like a regular phone.
Yeah.
I thought I'd give him a phone so he could talk to me. From the beyond. What I mean, the beyond is mother's house.
Okay.
And it didn't work out, really.
OK, yeah. Thank you very much. Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. OK, we are going to go to the show nearly over, so let's take another quick look at Thursday's front pages.
That's how we're ending the show.
The Daily Mail, my husband has serious mental health issues. Telegraph, Hugh Edwards named by wife as presenter suspended by BBC. Guardian, Hugh Edwards named as a BBC presenter at centre of allegations. The Times, wife reveals Hugh Edwards is BBC star in Eye of Storm. Financial Times, big drop in US inflation raises, hope that fever is breaking after rate rises. Daily Star, it's Hugh, and those are your front pages. That's it for tonight's show. Thanks to Bruce and Lewis. Headliners are back tomorrow at 11 p.m. If you're watching at 5 a.m, then go to bed or stick around for the breakfast show. For now, good night, good morning.
Best show ever.
The temperature's rising. Boxed Solar, proud sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Greg Dewhurst and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. Stays unsettled over the next few days. We'll have showers on Thursday and then rain spreading in for Friday and turning quite wet and windy as we move into the weekend. Last area of low pressure that we've had the last few days pulls away, and then this area of low pressure moves in to end the week and into the weekend, bringing unsettled conditions for all of us. There's still some showers around to end Wednesday, largely across the north and the west. Overnight, the clearest spells across eastern and southeastern parts of England. Elsewhere, still a mixture of showers. And temperatures generally holding up in double figures tonight, generally 11 to 14 Celsius. So it means a mixed start to Thursday morning. There'll be some sunny spells from the word go, but also a scattering of showers. Thursday